All right, this is 4.5b, the quadratic formula. We're actually going to use this quadratic formula to solve some quadratic equations. Now, there are two videos, and you're going to want to watch the second one as well. In this first one, I'm going to show you problem number 2, or example number 2 and example number 4. We do them a little differently than they are done in the second video, and I want you to take notes on both. So, the quadratic formula itself is right here. X equals the negative of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, the whole thing, notice the divide line, the whole thing divided by 2a. So remember that your quadratic equation has to be in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. I'm going to do number 2, and then the other video will do all 4 of them. We're going to do this one. So first thing we have to do with number 2, we have to get a 0. So we're going to add a 1 to both sides to 0 out that right-hand side. So we get 6x squared plus 2x plus 1 equals 0. We're going to identify our values of a, b, and c. And then we're going to plug them into the quadratic formula. So let's plug in. X equals the solutions to this quadratic equation, which is the same as that quadratic equation. Solutions will be x equals the negative of b. So we're going to replace the b with a 2. So we do the negative or the opposite of b. Plus or minus square root of. We're going to replace the b with a 2. 2 squared. Minus 4. We replace the a with a 6. Replace the c with a 1. That whole thing, notice the divide line, that whole thing is divided by 2 times a, which is 2 times 6. All right, now we're going to simplify. Now in the other video, she's going to talk a little bit more about the simplifying. We're going to start here. We're going to simplify if we can. Oh, negative 2, there's nothing we can do there. It's just negative 2. Keep your plus or minus sign. You're going to simplify the discriminant. Remember, the discriminant is the part under the radical. So 2 squared, which is 4. 4 times 6 times 1 is 24. 4 take away 24 is negative 20. So that radicand, or that discriminant, is negative 20. So our solutions are going to be non-real numbers. So we've simplified the things in the numerator. Now simplify the denominator. 2 times 6 is 12. Now we're going to simplify that radical. So the square root of negative 20. Let's remember how we simplify that. Negative comes out as an I. And then we're going to simplify the square root of 20. Let's see. 20 is 2 times 10. 10 is 2 times 5. So we can make that 2 squared times 5. The 2 squared will come out as a 2. We have 2i times the square root of 5. Okay, so back over here. We're going to simplify that square root of negative 20 to 2i square root of 5. Notice what we did. We still have the negative 2. We still have the plus or minus sign. We have 2i times the square root of 5, replacing that square root of negative 20. And then we have a 12. Now, we're going to reduce this because everything in sight is even. There's a negative 2. There's a 2 here. There's a 12 there. We've got evens. And we're not going to touch the radicand. See that 5? We're not going to touch it. I can't take a 2 out of, like I couldn't take a 2 out of here and out of the radicand. We can't touch that number that's under the radical. So don't touch it. Okay? So wait to do your reducing until you've simplified the radical. So simplify that radical, then you can do any reducing. But the 2 has to come out of both here, here, and here. Think about why that is. All right, so we're going to reduce the negative 2. When I take out a 2, it becomes a negative 1. We're going to reduce by taking a 2 out of this 2 right there. So dividing out of 2, we have I square root of 5. And then the 12 divided by 2 is a 6. So we have two solutions, and they are both non-real. We have negative 1 plus I square roots of 5 over 6, and negative 1 minus I times the square root of 5 over 6. Those are our two non-real solutions, and they are in simplified form. So notice how we did the reducing. It's kind of like when you do something like 2x minus 6 over 2, you have to take a 2 out of both pieces because dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by a half. It has to come out of each piece. Same thing happens right here. Whether it's a plus or a minus, doesn't matter. It has to come out of both pieces. So again, pay careful attention to how we did the reducing. We're going to do it again in the next example. So number 4. She'll do this one in the video a little bit differently, and I want you to see both versions. So this one, first thing we're going to do is we're going to subtract a 20 so that we have x squared plus 2x minus 20 equals 0. We got to have it in that standard form. Then we'll identify the a, the b, the c, and then we'll plug them right into the quadratic formula. Okay? So, quadratic formula, x equals negative b. Once again, b is 2, so we do negative 2, the negative of b, plus or minus the square root of b squared, that's a 2 squared, minus 4 times a, we replace the a with a 1, times c, we replace the c with a negative 20. So the negative of b, there he is, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, that discriminant. And then we divide the whole thing by 2a. In this case, a is 1, so we have 2 times 1. Now we're going to simplify. Negative 2 doesn't simplify. Simplify your discriminant. 2 squared is 4. Negative times negative turns into a positive, so the negative 4 times the negative 20 is going to be 80, and the 1 doesn't matter. So we have 84 under that radical. So negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 84. I think in the video she just does it in the calculator, and you're welcome to do that, and she'll show you exactly how to use the Desmos calculator. Then we're going to divide that by 2 times 1, which is 2. So simplify the pieces. And then we're going to simplify the radical and reduce if we can. In the video, she's going to show you how to come up with a decimal approximation, which we will need for our big ideas assignment. But we're going to use the radicals. We're just going to simplify the radicals and reduce the fraction. So 84. We can simplify that because 84 is divisible by 2. It factors as 2 times 42. We can get another 2. 21 is 3 times 7. So the 84 is 2 squared times 3 times 7. 2 squared comes out as a 2. 3 and 7 multiply back together to give me 21. So x equals negative 2 plus or minus square root of 84 is the same as 2 square root of 21. So we'll replace. And then everything in sight is even, so we can reduce. We'll take a 2 out of which pieces? We take a 2 out of the negative 2. We divide a 2 out of that. And we divide a 2 out of a denominator. So our denominator is going to go away because it's going to turn into a 1, right? So we have negative 1 plus or minus square root of 21. And we have two solutions. Negative 1 plus the square root of 21 and negative 1 minus the square root of 21. These are the exact answers. So if you need exact answers, these are what you're looking for, and they have been simplified as much as possible. In the other video, she will show you how to come up with decimal approximations. So make sure you watch that second video and take notes.